Hey, come on in, Michael. Thanks for coming down to Palm Beach. Have a seat. As you know, Michael, I'm always looking for fresh killers on my legal team, and I've heard good things about you. I figured we'd play a game of Monopoly while we were getting to know each other. It's a family tradition. As you see, Michael, I've already taken the liberty of going ahead and making the first turn. But don't worry, there's still lucrative properties to be had on this board. We play with a couple of house rules. You'll see that luxury tax and income tax are covered up. We don't play those squares in this house, Michael. And you'll see that go directly to jail is covered up too. Jail's for other people, ain't it, Michael? But remember this, Michael, above all. The number one rule, I always win. If you win, Michael, it's fraud of the greatest proportion. So, shall I go first? Hey, Michael, you're hired. Go see Sydney and Rudy to get you started. And go vote for Record Journal Athletes of the Week. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you may happen to be tuning in. I am Brian Carpenter, sports editor of the Meriden Record Journal. And hello, and welcome to the 7th and final edition of Record Journal Fall Athletes of the Week. Aaron, here it is, man. We've made it through the whole fall season. You'll be back next week to bring our final cast of winners. And while we were on the topic, of course, congratulations to our winners from last week, both from the great city of Meriden, Miss Eva Dudley from Platte Volleyball, Mr. Griffin DePalma from Maloney Cross Country. Who will be our last two winners? Well, I'll tell you what, I think we got a really good slate of Week 7 candidates. And hey, just before we get on to it, remember, we've had 7 weeks of these. So if you do the math, 7 times 6 is, quick thinking, 42. We've had 42 kids nominated. And obviously there's more than 42 deserving athletes out there. So if you don't hear your name called tonight, it wasn't called earlier, hey man, hang tight. Scholar Athletes is coming up, our All-RJ teams, which we're already starting to kind of sort of pick a little bit. But gotta say, unlike like the Major League Baseball awards for MVP and Cy Young and all that, postseason counts too. So keep at it, man. All that good stuff is coming up. And we're looking forward to covering it. On that note, Aaron, we're going to move ahead with our Week 7 slate of candidates, because I can't say slate of candidates enough here in election season, can I not? We've got 3 good girls. We got 3 good boys. It was good to get back to football in full this week. And we do have 3 football guys. But gentlemen, you must wait your turn, because ladies first. And we've got, hey, Aaron, this is cool. We got a soccer player, volleyball player, field hockey player, kind of touching all the bases. Where are we going to start? Over with one of my favorite teams this fall, Wilcox Tech girls soccer, man. Hey, Wildcats, they are kicking. Pun fully intended. Now listen, Aaron and I are shooting on Monday night, and all 3 of our girls, their teams are in action Monday night. So we're a little half step behind here, but all of the selections were based on what these girls did last week, which was plenty good. So let's get after it. Starting with Wilcox Tech girls soccer, as previously mentioned, right here. This girl's been on the radar screen, just a freshman. We got a lot of great freshmen this year, and here's another one. Miss Ellie Lopez, Wilcox Tech girls soccer. Last week, the Wildcats beat 2 Bridgeport teams 3-0, which makes it very convenient for me to remember. They beat Bullard Havens 3-0, they beat Harding 3-0, and Eliana had 1 goal against Bullard Havens and then had a hat trick, all 3 goals against Harding. And with that win, she and the Wildcats improved to 11-3. They're number 6 in Class M, and they're right up there at the top of the CTC standings with defending conference champ Wyndham Tech. So before the Wildcats play in Class M, they'll be battling for a conference championship. And it's been a while since they've reached their conference final, and I got a lot of confidence in these girls. Ellie Lopez, you and your girls, you've been doing it this year. Chuck Ubaldi's team's a good one. Looking forward to seeing what you can do in the postseason. For now, Ellie Lopez, congratulations. You are girls nominee number 1 in Week 7. Second nominee, going up the ladder a little bit for classes. It's a junior. She's a volleyball player. She's from Southington, and her name is Miss Cammie Wessels. And Cammie, got to say, you're someone who's been on the radar screen for a couple of weeks now. And I'm glad I waited. I'm glad I waited, because you've got a run of 4 straight double-digit kill matches going for you. Went to Bristol last week on consecutive nights, Wednesday at Bristol Central, Thursday at Bristol Eastern, and against Central, Kimmy had a season-high 19 kills, and then the next night against Eastern, she had 18. Now tonight, Monday, she and the Knights are going up against Northwest Catholic, looking to run their winning streak to 10. Going into that match, Wessels and the Knights, 13-2. Number 5 in both Class L and in the state polls. Looking forward to that, what that team can do in the postseason, because Coach Rich Heiss's team always does very well in the postseason. For now, Cammie Wessels, you are girls nominee number 2 in week 7. Our third girls nominee, she is a senior and an overdue senior. You hear me say that a lot. Oh, this kid's overdue. Well, yeah, she is. Because this young lady from Sheehan High School is not only a good field hockey player, also a good track athlete. Big part of Sheehan's success in that sport, as well in their excellent field hockey season. Let's get to her name, of course. She is Miss Maya Resin. Maya Resin, hey, in track, middle distance runner, part of those state championship teams, in kind of a quiet, unobtrusive way. I mean that in the best of ways. Kind of one of those glue kids who's like, hey, she's a player, and she just does it humbly and modestly. In field hockey, she moved up from defense up to midfield and forward this year, produced 4 goals, including against Lyman Hall last Thursday in yet another 3-zip game. That was a magic number last week. She had a goal and an assist against the rival Trojans. As we say, 4 goals on the year. And the Sheehan Titans, they're going to be going to the Class S playoffs. They're going to be going to the SEC tournament, if my math is correct. Sometimes it's faulty, but I think I'm spot on right here. And I know I'm spot on with this pick. Miss Maya Resin, girls nominee number 3 in week 7. Let's go right over to the boys who mentioned. They're all football players. All the football teams were back in action last week. And, hey, you know, things... we can't complain about football this year. We got the top-ranked team in the state in Southington. We got Maloney ranked number 3. Cheshire is 5-1, and Platt has climbed into the Class M picture at number 8 with its 3rd straight win last week. Do some of those teams have nominees this week? Well, not so uncoincidentally, yes, of course they do. Where are we going to start here? We're going to start over in Cheshire, because this was an excellent win for Coach Donnie Drust and the Rams here. The previous week, they were 4-0, they went down to prep, and they lost, and their quarterback got banged up. And of course, their quarterback is this young man right here, Mr. Matt Jeffrey. He's a lacrosse guy going to Notre Dame to play lacrosse. He's a junior quarterback. He gets hurt last week at Fairfield Prep. What a bummer. They lose for the first time, and Jeffrey gets hurt. What's going to happen? Oh my God, they got all these tough teams coming up. Well, very creatively, Donnie Drust moves Matt Jeffrey from QB to wide receiver for the game against Notre Dame, and boom, Matt Jeffrey pulls down not 1 but 2 touchdown passes from his replacement, I guess you could call him, though this young man, Michael Simeone, has also seen time at quarterback for Cheshire. Simeone to Jeffrey, not once but twice, 24 yards, 1 yard. Cheshire beats Notre Dame 27-12, a huge win for Cheshire, man. Boom, boom, boom. Slides him up to number 4 in the Class L playoff points. Good for you. Hey, you know what? The Rams seem to have been dealt a bad hand, and they found a way to make it a winning hand. Matt Jeffrey, the Cheshire Rams, boys nominee number 1 here in week 7. But I got to say, it was one of those games, we could probably have gone with anybody from that team. It was a good team win for the Rams. Keep it up, man. They got North Haven this Friday, and that should be a very good game over in Ramland. All right, also hot are the Platt Panthers. They've won 3 straight, and quite decisively too. They are now 4-2, and as we mentioned, number 8 in the Class M points. And big development for them last week was the performance of this young man, junior running back, Mr. Amari Robinson. Amari had his first 100-yard game of the season, rushed 16 times for 125 yards, including 2 touchdowns. And you're probably thinking, Carpenter, is his first 100-yard game? It's a 6th game of the season. Yeah, well, here's the deal with Amari. Broke his hand in the preseason. And that limited him to defense, because he had one of those big old clubs. You ever see the kids are out there with the broken hands or hurt hands playing with the big clubs, Aaron? Well, Amari had one of those, and while he could play in the secondary on defense, I mean, you just can't run the ball trying to tuck that thing away with a big old club on your hand. So Amari was really limited in what he could do. Really wasn't running much at all. But hey, with time heals all, and Amari was ready against Rocky Hill last week. He had 125 yards, and remember now, Amari had 1,429 last year, 1,429 yards. It gives you an idea of just what exactly Platt had been missing, and a great offensive attack led by Amari's older brother, Avery, who was a nominee earlier this week. long story short, Amari Robinson is back in town. And so are the Platte Panthers. 4-2, 125 yards for this boy. Hey, Amari, good to see you running again, man. You are boys nominee number 2 in week 7. Third and final nominee, we said the Maloney Spartans, ranked number 3. They've won how many games in a row, is that Aaron? 18 games in a row for the defending Class L state champions. And they're ranked number 3 in the state poll still, though I did see, Aaron, that they dropped down to number 4 in the coaches poll for whatever reason, because they won on Saturday 35-7 over Bristol Central, because one big reason why right here, senior quarterback Kyle Valentine, man, first year starter, really had one of those nice breakout games. 16 for 27, 218 yards, 3 touchdown passes to 3 different receivers, and that puts him over 1,000 yards on the season. And listen, Maloney's defense and special teams have been awesome all season. Seeing the offense gathering steam now at the right time. And that was to be expected. A lot of new starters up on that offensive line. Like I say, Kyle, first year starter, he can get it done. 218 yards, over 1,000 on the season. Maloney Spartans 6-0 going into Friday night's game at Connor. And then the big one with Southington next Friday. So many things going on, Aaron. Suffice it to say, for now, we're capping the fall season with a great nominee, Kyle Valentine, Maloney senior quarterback. And that puts a wrap on our fall season. But baby, it seems like we are just getting started. Football is really going into overdrive. And the conference and state tournaments and all the other fall sports are right around the corner. And you know what, Aaron? So is trick-or-treating, man. I'm going to go out and scare the dickens out of half the neighborhood with my Michael Myers mask in a couple nights. And I am looking forward to it. Hey, I am Brian Carpenter, sports editor of the Meriden Record-Journal. I hope you've been enjoying watching these shows, because Aaron and I have a lot of fun doing them. At least I do. I think Aaron does too. He's got a kind of a half grin on his face back there. But thanks always to you, Aaron, because you do such fine work making me look not too terribly bad. And also, of course, to my man Sean Kid Krofsick, who gets after it so well. Ronnie Buck and all the part-timers. Thank you very much, guys, for getting after it. We try to do the best we can and touch all the bases. That's a wrap. It's the fall season. Week 7. Last week to vote. myrecordjournal.com/sports. Now, through Sunday, we'll bring you the winners last week, for next week, put a cap on the season, and try to set up the postseason for you. I'm Brian Carpenter. I appreciate you watching. Be good.